And then are you letting everyone into the meeting now? So Dr. Madden, we will go ahead and get started with the meeting. For many of you that are on, you were invited to be a part of the year-round school study group. So we will go down the agenda in order and introduce yourselves, please. I will go ahead and start. Billy Wallace, Assistant Superintendent, Teaching and Learning, and I am co-chairing this committee with Ms. Cope.
Good evening. My name is Lori Cope. I'm General Counsel for Topeka Public Schools, and I appreciate the opportunity to co-chair with Billy Wallace and look forward to this committee.
Good evening. Thanks for everyone for participating this evening. I'm going to leave this committee to this illustrious group. Just wanted to start off with just thanking you for giving the time. I'll turn it back over to our co-chairs and team, and thank you for this research and this study.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Dr. Bonebrake?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Rich Bonebrake. I'm a retired physician and board member since January. And one of the reasons I ran for school board was because I was interested in year-round school, since we're no longer an agrarian society and we have fallen with our peers in the industrialized countries. Of 71 that take the world testing, we used to be first in math and science, and now I think we're in the mid-30s or something.
Thank you.
Let's work on it.
Ms. Stewart Campbell. Dr. Hackett.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Jill Hackett. I'm the Associate Superintendent in the school district, and it's my pleasure to serve on this committee. I think it has a lot of merit and value for those students who would be a part of it. Thank you, Mrs. Wallace.
Hi, I am Sarah Sharp, General Director of Early Childhood and Elementary Education.
Hello, I'm Aaron Gray, Director of Instructional Services.
Dr. Lyons. Ms. Hoffman.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hoffman. I'm principal at French Middle School.
Hi, I'm Angela Pomeroy, and I am the principal at Jardine Elementary School. I think the agenda might say middle school, but I'm at the elementary school. Sorry.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Troy Sawyer, and I'm the principal at State Street Elementary School.
Good afternoon. I'm Richard Bolijek, currently serving as the NEA Topeka president and on leave as a Topeka High School special education teacher.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Haas, and I am NEA Topeka vice president, and I currently teach science at Williams Science and Fine Arts Magnet.
Hi, I'm Ray Loxman, and I'm a classroom teacher at Shaner Early Childhood Learning Academy.
I'm Ellen Backus, and I'm teaching remote third graders at McCarter and McEachran.
Hi, I'm Amber Enneking, and I'm teaching 7th grade language arts at Chase Middle School.
Hi, I'm Liz Toyne. I have a first grader over at State Street, and Dr. Sawyer invited me to the meeting.
Hi, I'm Danny Gwynn. I have a first grader at Jardine Elementary and am on the PTO.
Ms. Felsberg isn't with us tonight, but she will be with us in future meetings. And Miss Miller.
Hi, I'm Kristen Miller. I am a Sheldon Jardine Middle School and Topeka High parent, and I was invited by Billy Wallace.
Thank you, everyone, for agreeing to serve on this committee. I think we will learn a lot and hopefully be able to make some recommendations.
Ms. Wallace, can we go back to Ms. Stewart Campbell so she can introduce herself and share why she's on the board? I'm not sure that she was unmuted fully, so she may not have been able to unmute herself.
Absolutely. Ms. Stewart Campbell.
Well, once again, there we go.
Okay. Well, first of all, I apologize for being late. I was really having trouble with the password, but as you can see, I figured it out. So yes, I'm Melanie Stewart Campbell. I'm a school board member. This is my first year. And anyway, I really enjoy serving on the board, and I'm very excited about this committee because this is a subject that I'm most interested in learning more about. So thank you for establishing this committee so quickly. Also, once it was suggested, I just look forward to learning everything I can. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else that we missed that might have joined late?
Hi, Ms. Wallace. This is Dr. Laura Lyons, and I apologize for my tardiness. I got locked out of my office. And so I am happy to be here and excited to represent both Topeka High and as a member of NEAT.
Thank you. Okay, so as we get started, I will share that we will meet from 4:30 to 5:30 on the following dates: January 28th, February 26th, March 25th, and April 26th. Those are all dates that, and the meeting time is just prior to our Equity Council, as this is an issue of equity, and that it will allow us to then report out at Equity Council. And then Ms. Cope is going to share with us kind of our purpose and scope of our work.
You should never give the attorney something where you need to be brief, but I'll do my very best. So
plenty of time.
The purpose and the scope, as we have generally identified, is to explore and assess the value and feasibility of year-round schools and to take any findings and recommendations to the Board of Education for discussion and or possible action.
Are there any questions related to our purpose and scope of work from any of our committee members?
Well, and just briefly, I apparently was too brief before and left out an important thing. This was something that was identified. Dr. Bonebrake mentioned a little bit earlier that this was something that was identified by board members as something that would be of value to study. That was recommended at the last board meeting. And so Ms. Wallace and I were happy to jump on board and to bring this as something that everyone here who's on this committee can bring value to this discussion. So wanted to add that as well.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? Okay. So tonight's meeting is really just our initial getting started meeting. To kind of share dates, scope of work, and then talk a little bit about, this is not the first time that year-round school has been discussed in Topeka Public Schools. In fact, after we located the DCAC report from 2001-2002, discovered that it was also a DCAC item in 1998-99. And then I received a couple of emails later this afternoon from former staff that shared it was also studied in around 2013-14, specifically for Scott dual language. So this is a topic that we've explored before. And so with that, I will share this report and the link is available, and this folder will be shared with all of the committee members. The executive summary from that report and its mission, much like ours, was to explore various year-round models and the pros and cons and the impacts of year-round school. Their report looked at a balanced calendar and a couple of different options from that. Their research, and this they cited the 1998-1999 study as part of their report as well. And then I guess the most interesting part of it is that I learned that there was a year-round National Association for Year-Round School. And so that will be a resource for us to explore as well. And then types of year-round calendars. And then their recommendation was a 45-10, so 45 days in, 10 days out, and maintaining current holiday vacations with a slightly shorter summer holiday as well. They list several benefits and challenges, and probably a very important piece of their study was that they suggested or recommended a task force that it would include many community members before implementing. So it kind of a planning stage, and not to implement until we were ready and had all of those things in place related to some of those challenges. And then, so I will share that report with you. And then additionally, I created a working document for, it's not showing up very well. I don't know, can you see the link on the screen share? Mr. Gowan?
I see the address bar, but I'm not seeing anything showing up as a link.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Here we go. So additionally, this document will be shared with you. Can you see it now? Okay. And I just put one in here as an example. So everyone can go out and so kind of the assignment for the next month before we meet again is for the committee members to do some research. Look online, search and find some articles that are supportive and pros and cons, challenges of year-round school, and a place for you to list your name as the member who found the article or research, and then to add and cut and paste the link, and we will all have access to everyone's research and an opportunity to look over those things before we meet again. Are there any additional questions? Tonight's meeting was not intended to be a long meeting, just one to get us all started.
Hey, Ms. Wallace, that document does not have edit access, so for those that want to add, they don't have the ability yet.
Oh, okay. I will go in and change that. Any other questions?
This is Bone Break.
Yes, Dr. Bone Break.
In 1984, 1985, Governor John Carlin had a commission to determine what would attract people to Kansas. And there were 5 or 6 items on the committee proposal, one of which was education. And I wonder if we could find a copy, get a copy of that. I don't know where it would be or how you could get it.
Okay. And you said Governor Carlin?
Governor Carlin, and 84, 85, thereabouts. In general, there's a committee on how to attract people to Kansas and not to see a twine ball in Cocker City. Sorry.
Okay. We will find a copy of that.
Thanks.
I also included in the folder that you'll have access to a copy of the 98-99 research from DCAC. And if anyone has the board report or knows anything about the I think it's around 2013-14 presentation to the board around Scott dual language becoming a year-round school, we looked all over this afternoon through board docs and could not identify that. So we're still kind of on the hunt for that. Okay. There we go. So I guess this will be the shortest meeting on record. So that really was all that I had planned for tonight, was for us to kind of all meet each other and have a jumping off point for our research. If there aren't any other questions.
An auspicious group.
Yes.
Go team.
They'll get more lively, I am sure, once we have some research and they've had an opportunity to dig in a little bit. Do we have, I guess I will ask this question, do we have any participants who have taught in or worked with year-round school in a previous district or experience? Dr. Sawyer, would you like to share?
Yeah, so when I worked in Colorado as a district administrator, we had actually piloted this in 2 of our schools. And it was actually the topic of my dissertation. And so I will add my dissertation to the list, but I do have a lot of research behind it, as well as the reasons why we used it and the reasons why it failed in that particular environment. So if we were to go forward with this, I do have some suggestions on what could make it work that maybe it didn't work in my previous district.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mrs. Wallace.
Dr. Hackett.
Excuse me, Ms. Bacchus. Yes, in North Kansas City, we did pilot that with 2 of the elementary schools, Crestview and Wynwood. Found a lot of benefits at the last, and I haven't studied the research recently. I don't know that there were significant differences in achievement for those who were in other programs versus those 2 schools, but we found that students and parents did enjoy it.
I also have some limited experience with year-round school from my time getting my teaching certification at CU Boulder and then subbing and teaching in the Denver area. And so while I never taught in a school that was on a year-round calendar, I did do some subbing in some schools that were on a year-round calendar and worked with some people who left schools that were on year-round calendars.
Okay. I did a little bit of research today and I could not find any districts in Kansas on a year-round calendar. However, and maybe this is could be a part of this conversation too, or maybe it fits into a year-round calendar, but there is a current trend of going to 4-day weeks and then perhaps extending the year as well.
Ms. Wallace, is that a result of COVID or just in general?
It's usually the 4-day weeks tend to be in more rural areas, and it is a cost savings around busing and utilities and food service.
Okay. All right. Well, when the time is right, I don't know if that's now or later. I'm very curious to hear what NEATs, how unions feel, because one thing I've heard is that often teacher unions are not in favor. So, and I'd like to know the reasons for that, and not to put you on the spot, Mr. Bullyjack. So we could talk about it next time, but.
Yeah, this is Richard Bullyjack with NEA Topeka. I have visited briefly with KNEA, and we don't necessarily have any opposition to it. There's a lot of hurdles contractually, that I think would have to be looked at. The idea of, and I saw it just briefly as Ms. Wallace was scrolling down the research from 1998 and 99, just the resistance of change probably is maybe the biggest. But what little bit of research I have done, there's a vast majority of people that do like it once they start doing it. And I'm talking about the balanced calendar, the idea of having a longer break, more breaks that are, I think, longer in length. Maybe not so much a plus was the shorter summer, but I think the other breaks throughout the balanced calendar were pluses. Other than that, I'm just kind of trying to learn as well, along with everyone else on the committee, what's going on. And I'm eager to read the data from 1999 and do some further research and report back. That's kind of where I am at this point. I don't know if that was of any help.
Oh. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
And also, so can I just say, so we're all on like the same page in terms of terminology? Do we call it year-round school? Do we call it balanced calendar?
There are different models of year-round school, and I think balanced calendar is one model of a year-round calendar. So, I mean, I think for the purpose of we're exploring all the different models for a year-round calendar, which would include a balanced calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. And that was my question as well. I know that there's this huge misconception that people hear year-round calendar, and they think that means we're adding days to the calendar more than our typical 180 versus restructuring. And so as we look for articles, are we looking for the same amount of days just restructured, or are we also including longer school years?
I don't know that I would defer to Ms. Cope, but my understanding was we are exploring this kind of from the ground up. So we would be looking at all different models and then maybe perhaps narrowing our focus based on the data and what we learn. So not necessarily limiting what we look for in our research.
Most industrialized schools go to school far longer than we do. I know Germany, France, Spain, England, they have 10.5 months of instruction.
Ms. Cope, did you want to weigh in on that scope of work?
Well, I think Dr. Bonebreak just kind of expressed that he's looking, I think, at both. Obviously, the more we look into, adding days, and again, the committee is really more just researching and reporting, but to take into consideration, if you're looking at adding days, that's going to be something that would have to be negotiated, and that brings those types of issues into account. So again, I think if you have a committee, this is the time that you look into all of these things and maybe don't narrow the scope at the beginning, and let's look into everything. But there would be additional things to consider if we were looking at adding days to the calendar. Or days to the duty year. Maybe I should say that more clearly.
Yeah.
And I think once we have that narrowed down, if it's going to be additional days and that sort of thing, we would probably also add to our committee. some folks from the business office.
Mm-hmm.
Because anytime you add days, you're adding dollars.
I think, Mrs. Wallace, something else the research might show is that oftentimes when schools embark on this work, they pilot the offer, the arrangement in 1 or 2 schools. They're also, we found in North Kansas City, there was the opportunity for parents and staff to opt in or to opt out of attending or leading in those schools. So it's a comprehensive effort. Not only do we have to educate ourselves in the community, but we also have to make sure that we think about providing time for parents to really process what they would like for their child and be given options.
I know one of the questions I've been asked was, is this just an elementary thing? And so, you know, I think that's also a conversation. At what level would we look at doing this? Or does it have to be all or none? Or, you know, what does that look like? And so I think those are all conversations moving forward.
This bone break again, an experience I have is that when just grade schools are year round or a different schedule, then I, for example, had children in 3 different schools, middle school, high school, and grade school. And if they all have different schedules, that just wreaks havoc with daycare, vacations, you name it. And I think that's why some school systems that have tried have failed, because they haven't gone all the way.
I would agree with that. Being a person that has children in all 3 levels, even in our current situation, I'm very grateful that all are in the same group for attendance, because if they were not, it wreaks a lot of havoc when you have children in all 3 levels looking for daycare, trying to make sure this one gets to where they're supposed to be on time and on what days and everything else. So I definitely, if it's just something that we're discussing, I think we should go all the way in or nothing at all.
Yep.
I worked for 7 years in Minnesota in an alternative school where we had a year that was structured quite a bit like this. It was actually 6 weeks with 1 week off. So there was even less time between sessions. And we had 4 long days and 1 half day. So even the bell schedule was quite a bit different. That worked because it was high school. But I hear Ms. Miller, I hear Dr. Bonebreak. I would agree that the high school is a place where there's a great opportunity, partly because we are working through a pandemic, for change. And so I would like to see, if we consider piloting, that we consider piloting at all levels, because I believe that high school, there's a wonderful opportunity there to expand the school year. I think we're close to it because of the way that we offer summer school during the month of June. And that I think that teachers might be open to it for that reason.
Here, here. And if teachers are working more days, we'd have to pay them more. Therefore, they wouldn't have to look for low-paying summer jobs or 2 or 3 jobs. There wouldn't be that hassle.
But we also have staff with children in other districts, and that might cause additional daycare, you know, in the summertime and various times of the year where that expense is not occurring.
I know that over the past couple of summers, we've kind of stepped up some of our summer enrichment opportunities. And I wondered if maybe that was something that we could consider and look into as an alternative to a year-round school, if that's something we might look for research on as well.
Absolutely. I don't think we're limiting ourselves in what we're researching and looking for.
Everybody is excited. We'll see in January.
You know, perhaps we could invite somebody to this committee, a speaker who's currently an administrator at a district where they're doing year-round school. So Maybe Dr. Sawyer or Dr. Hackett, maybe you are still in touch with somebody from your previous districts who could come and speak to us and answer some questions.
That's a great idea.
Yes, I'd be happy to reach out, Mr. Stewart Campbell. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so does everyone understand their homework for the next month? Okay, so I will periodically take a look and see if we're adding links, and if not, I'll do that teacher thing where I reach out and remind you. Okay.
John Carlin.
And we will find that we'll find that research as well, Dr.
Yeah, not George Carlin. He has 100 words.
John Carlin, yes.
Never mind.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining tonight.
Thank you.
We will see you in January.
Okay, right. Thanks everyone.
Bye.